A little loud.
Hey.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome
back
to the Outhouse podcast, where the views and opinions expressed by the individuals in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of the Outhouse podcast or its affiliates or its guests or even our asses, the hosts. We're just here for entertainment. To entertainment purposes only. Calm
Talking
down.
shit about shit.
Here's our questions.
The Outhouse podcast.
All right.
Brought to you by
Oh, yeah. Gattuso's Music, 1300 Market Avenue, the Sparta Lounge, 1101 12th Street Northwest, Planet Art, 1524 Fulton Road,
Mighty Oracle
Northwest.
Dolores.
Now you guys know how many good deals I've gotten at
The Oracle.
Gattuso's
You,
for
my
like
friend,
forever. So that's why I felt compelled to wear my Gattuso's
He's,
shirt. I
he's
feel like
representing,
Reppin'.
y'all.
Reppin'.
Representing.
How many
Yeah.
guitars have you bought from Gattuso's in just the last 30
More
days?
than I'm not going to say on here.
Mhm.
So none, as far as anybody knows.
Ah.
But whatever I did get there was a great deal. I can tell you that.
There you go. Every time
And
you
I've
go
been
to
around at other
Gattuso's,
places
we get a
and,
great deal.
Yeah, I great place. So took care of me. Tom takes care of me. Oh man, he's got a
That's weird.
commercial
I did
going
that
on over
last
there.
time. Got the double volume shit going on.
Double volume.
Do that so I can see the chat from here. Not that it gives us any more
Chat.
viewers or nothing, but
Well, we got you and me, and now we have Otto sitting here by me, and we have our special guest tonight, Mr. Trevor Tolley.
Trevor Tolley.
Trevor Tolley.
Seems to be related to that bow Tolley, y'all know out there.
That'll be a
We'll
fun.
find out.
Sometimes.
It's gonna be a fun story.
Tell him to watch this episode.
What's up, cuz?
Get out his
What up,
Gitley.
though?
Get out his Gitley and jam with Al sometime.
I got him back there on some of that jazz stuff and the gas tuning.
Yeah.
Well,
Right
as
back
soon
there
as-
like, what the? It's all tuned way down.
As soon as we started talking about Tolley, I thought about whenever we first got the thing going
Oh,
and
yeah, these
advertising that we were looking for bands, and we were just sitting down to this beautiful, like, New York style, like, deli sandwich meal after, like, days of work.
Literally.
No
Just
shit.
sat down.
Food just came through the door, and she's smiling because she sees how hungry we are, and Tom's phone rings like C-3PO. And it was Bo.
R2D2, that is.
R2D2, Bo Tolley.
Non-Star Wars knowing some bitch.
And I could just see, Tom was like, man, these guys, man, they want to record right now. I was like, just tell them we'll do
Tell
it.
him in the comments about all that, y'all.
Tell them. But when we got back here, those fellas had gotten into the moonshine.
Where's it at?
My cousin
Like,
Chuck's
There's a
moonshine.
moonshine to get into around here.
Oh, they went fishing with some moonshine and then called me talking about, oh, we're coming to record. We
We're
didn't-
ready to hit the studio.
They didn't tell us the moonshine part. They're just, I figured they,
Annihilation.
Man.
Shouting out to Appalachia, Virginia. When I get down there, you better have some moonshine waiting for me.
Now, when they got in here,
got the
though,
best.
they were on a whole other world compared to us. And Tom
It
was
was
trying
crazy.
to get everything set up. And there were these moments where there was that disconnect where they're the artist and they're creating, and we're kind of in their way by making requests. And then there's the fact that there's the technical aspect. And
I'm trying to get shit done
Tom's
so we
trying
can
to
go
get shit
live.
done, right? You know? And at one point, Tom was just so disconnected by the situation. He got this spotlight, and this thing will melt the flesh
Man,
right off your
it'll
face.
light my whole entire backyard.
Do the impersonation. What was Bo doing?
It's like
Like an iguana.
eyes
Under
closed.
a warming lamp.
I clicked this light on, and I mean, even if you're, his eyelids had to be burning from the inside. I had it like, what, a foot from his face.
It was right
Eventually,
there.
I pulled it clear up, and he
It was
just,
right
he
there.
didn't even flinch.
Never once did he move. And Tom just turned and looked
I
at me
looked at
with
Ed
like
and was like,
that-
I'm just gonna go sit down, I guess.
complete disgust, complete it's over, and slammed the light down, whatever there and sat down, you know. And then like about
It's like
I don't
at
know,
that point, what do you do?
30 more seconds went by, and then he snapped back and was like, "Hey man, what are you guys doing?" It's like, man, melting down over here.
Waiting
man.
on you, buddy, for the last hour.
Well, I feel bad we pushed you back. You know, I wanted to have you on a few weeks ago,
For sure,
but things
for
were
sure.
busy. And you and me go way back. I can't wait to have this conversation because we go back. So, what year did you and I meet?
Oh boy, that's
probably been 2000.
Yeah, talking to your mic. And yeah, we met through a guy named Lonnie, and we found out we had some common ancestry and with a Native American blood.
Common.
And we've been really good friends ever since. And we shot a movie together. I killed my computer.
It was a very interesting filming session for sure.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
Art film.
I seem to recall the basement and a lot of ketchup getting splattered everywhere.
Right. Purple ketchup, if you remember,
that
right?
was.
Everybody was like, "Why is it purple?" I was like, "Well, it's black and white, guys. It'll be extra dark if it's purple," and it was. It worked great. And that's still up under Mama Rove George, I think. If you look up my name, you'll find it on YouTube.
Yeah, I know you
curious.
shared it with me a while back.
Yeah, it's up there. It's funny, man. And if you remember
my
what you
noise
shot, you
sensor
remember it
tight.
because you guys all shot in different weeks
Yeah.
over 3 weeks.
Yeah, was it a 3-week shoot?
Yeah, and you guys all got your own visual of what you wanted to say based on what the storyline was.
It was a
My
good
noise
storyline.
gate.
It was
Still
fun.
holds true.
And it's black and white,
Yeah.
which is kind
Yeah.
of cool.
Yeah, it was.
Ahead of the time.
That.
Yeah. I feel like that never goes out of style.
Well, and even back then, we used to play, poker and talk paranormal stuff, ghost stories, and that kind of thing.
Who
and
was she?
I'm kind of curious now. When did that
So they played
become
poker.
a thing for you?
Liquor in the front, poker in the
Well,
rear.
I always was interested in it. I had an experience back in '98 at Rogues Hollow near Clinton, Ohio, which anybody locally to the area might be a little bit familiar with it.
Yes,
But
vaguely.
I was with two friends of mine.
I know.
Where is
I used to work-
Rogues Hollow?
It's near Clinton and Doylestown.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a little bit north of Canal
Off of
Fulton.
93 and something.
Yeah, so 21.
21.
Yep.
21.
So, anyways, there's a lot of history to the place. A lot of coal miners died there. A lot of outlaws hung out there back in the late 1800s and early 1900s. We were driving around one night, me and two friends of mine, and we're driving down this road. There's railroad tracks off to the left side of us, and we're traveling maybe about 20 miles per hour because we're just looking for stuff.
Right.
And all of a sudden, we see these two white anomalies come up from the railroad tracks, and they slowly start to come up the field towards us. So we stop the car, and when they get right in front of us, like they still continue to just float, and we're completely stopped, and then floated up the right side of us and disappeared into the tree line.
Wow.
And we were flipping out. We couldn't believe what we were seeing. But the best way I could describe them, they had a light in the center, and then they kind of went out kind of like egg-shaped form.
Wow.
And
That's crazy.
yeah, that
And how
started
many
it.
people were with you?
What's that?
Who was with you? How many people?
It was two other people. The one friend, he's no longer with us, but the other one, James, he's still around, and he recounts. The
Now,
story.
who brought the hallucinogenics?
I wish, man. I
So
would have
that-
seen a whole lot more.
Yeah, so that was the beginning point for you.
That was the beginning point, and so after that, it was kind of amateur stuff. I'd go
Right.
randomly throughout the years, checking out different locations.
Okay, now that's what I was going to ask next. So in the beginning, where did you go ghost hunting at, man? Where's a good spot to go pick up that vibe?
If it's accessible, Rogues Hollow, but don't go there on a Friday or Saturday night because you'll get run out. Lock 4 over there in Canal Fulton's a great place. Very active. There's actually a guy who killed himself, poured acid all over himself. It's well documented.
Ooh,
crazy.
He haunts the location. Yeah, you go there on a random night, take a few pieces of equipment, and you're probably pretty guaranteed to get some responses.
Wow. Now, were you strictly going out looking for contact, or were you out recording like the EVPs?
It
and-
started out trying to make contact to see if we could see that
So-
something was there.
What did you use in your amateur days for equipment for those that are just getting started entry level?
The best stuff at an entry level that's not going to break the bank, a digital recorder and an EMF detector or a camera. Those are the simplest things. They work really well. If you can get an EVP on a digital recorder, that's like key because you're going to get the most information from the other side through a digital recorder than you will any other piece of equipment.
What is the difference between an EMF and an EVP?
An EMF, that's an electromagnetic field, so the EMF meters detect that, which that can be created by electrical sources, but it's also believed that, the paranormal puts out an EMF reading and can manipulate it.
Spectral entities, you mean?
Yes. And
Okay, now we're getting into the fun stuff.
oh yeah, we'll get the technical stuff out of the way.
That's right.
But the EVP, that's what they call electronic voice phenomenon, and that would be the recording that you catch on a digital recorder.
It makes the hair on your arms stand up when you hear it.
It makes something stand up.
Uh-oh. I think that's a succubus and
Yeah,
incubus. I think we're getting into that right there, right now.
I watch these guys. It's from Ohio. He's goes out to do Bigfoot stuff. It's called the Cameraman, and he's got what the hell is his name? Mike
Mike DeRuki.
But he does EVP stuff while they're out in the woods.
See the guy that caught all the
and he does all kinds of stuff. I can't believe I can't think of his Mike T.
I wonder where that footage came from. That was some pretty good
Damn,
stuff. With,
that sucks. I
with
can't
like
remember his
Bigfoot
name. I
driving
feel
a
like
golf
an
cart.
idiot.
Well, a great piece of advice I'd give people too is if you're going out hunting anything, always keep a digital recorder running because I can tell you in the early days there was times we missed some phenomenal stuff just because we didn't have something running. We'd be like in between switching whatever we were going to use.
Always
Well, what
like
do you
that,
just
too.
go on Amazon and
Batteries
look
go
for a
dead.
yeah,
You go to
digital
switch
recorder,
batteries
and
and the
it's-
shit goes down.
It's like a tape recorder, basically. A
Yeah.
digital recorder.
Yeah, digital recorder.
school.
Yep, that's it. You can get them pretty
Got one
cheap.
sitting there. You see that one right behind the other computer.
We've actually caught them on cell phones too. If you use the recording
Thank you.
apps on your cell phone, a lot
Right.
of times those will work as one as well.
Okay.
Your
Yeah, there you
normal
go.
digital record. Hold that up in there. Digital recorder. You
Up
get
in
you
there.
something like that, just like that right there. Take it on your little ghost on it.
Yeah, that's a good one there.
Got the two microphones.
Oh, yeah. That's
Yep.
a good one. Cool.
Yeah, looks like a good
Yeah,
one.
it is.
What's
It
it
still
cost us,
records
something
really
like
well,
that?
actually.
Get,
Is
you
that
know,
a $30 piece?
That
No,
don't look like a
that
30.
was a little over $100 piece, I
There
believe.
you go. So
Sounds about right.
going
what
into
else do
3
you
digits.
need to know as far as the safety side of things
That's
when
a
you're going
Taz
into these
cam.
places? How do you go about asking permission?
Well, they come to us. So we're not like a lot of groups. A lot of groups out there, they'll go look for like major locations like Mansfield Reformatory, things like that, and they pay money to go investigate. I've been pretty fortunate because my wife is a well-known medium. So we get contacted by a lot of people that have paranormal happenings going on in their homes, and they'll reach out to us for help and have us come out and they'll say, hey, we need you guys to figure out what's going on and help us get rid of it. So we go out and we assess. There's a whole process we do first.
So you don't just go out and sage the house.
No, because you don't know what you're dealing with. That might work for some energies, but it's not going to work for others. So when we go to a location, first we assess the client. They have a whole questionnaire that they run through because we want to rule out that there's any mental issues
Mental
going
illness,
on.
right?
There's
Second,
always that.
Have
Yeah.
you
Hey,
ever
crazy people can see
yeah.
ghosts
Have
too,
you
man. That's
ever,
discriminatory.
yeah,
have
Not-
you ever encountered someone
Which
who
is a
is
sad
doing it
thing to say. but
telekinetically to themselves?
yes,
Some people have brain
yes, and I can go
damage.
into that. That's actually interesting that you
Reed.
bring that up.
Okay, because I'm curious about that. They're actually
fucking
haunting
mad,
themselves.
dude. I can't-
Oh yeah,
So how does that work?
I'll get into that.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
But yeah, it's pretty fascinating. So we'll do the questionnaire. We'll go out, usually my wife and myself. We'll kind of feel out for the energy of the house, and then we'll take a couple items with us just to kind of do a preliminary, see if
Do
there
you
is
put any
activity.
really random questions on there just for your own fun to see what people will say?
No, but that would be interesting.
Yeah, it'd be kinda
See if they're actually paying attention to it.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I might take you up on that one. But yeah, we do all that. If everything's a go, then we take the entire team, we set up equipment, cameras, the whole bit, and then we make a night out of it. We try to figure out what type of entity we're dealing with because there's many
No, you're
different.
good. I'm just trying to. Like,
Now,
got
do you
this
guys have
weird
matching
angle where
jackets?
It's blocking
It's
your
this
face, and I
guy.
don't like
Oh
that.
yeah.
There we go. That's better.
Yeah. So do you guys have
Up
matching
there.
jackets like when you show up?
Oh, we got matching
That'd be
jackets,
pretty cool,
shirts,
man.
all that.
That'd
Yeah,
be like-
we didn't for the first good one.
Yeah.
But no, we wanted to be a little bit more
feel pretty
professional.
sweet walking in if I had the rag on, you know.
You got
and
the
I'm like,
gear?
yeah, I got the gear.
It's
Happy
telling all the
birthday.
ghosts what's up.
But it would restore my confidence because, see, I was devastated back in 1986 when I had some paranormal activity going on. So I did what I thought I should do, and I called Ghostbusters. Nobody called me back, man.
That's
Nobody.
some old bullshit there.
Yeah.
Chachi.
lost it all with that
The
whole-
Chachi day.
And then I had to hear it forever. Who are you going to call? Man, I already called them.
Nobody.
Today is Chachi's birthday today. I'm calling Otto Chachi
Otto's
because he let me in on
birthday today,
something.
kids.
Happy birthday,
What's up,
Chachi.
cousin Chachi?
Say something there. Where's everybody in the
Cousins
chat?
got
Joni loves Chachi.
So yeah, we go through, we try to figure out what we're dealing with because there's different types of entities. So I mean, you could have just an intelligent haunting, which is just like an average person that's moved on that, you know, is sticking around for whatever reason. You could have residual, which is left over from the home. Maybe something traumatic happened there that keeps replaying itself. Then you get into things that I call inhuman spirits. And we have encountered some of those. The majority of hauntings we go to are not that. But every once in a while we do get some. And we've encountered things like, I guess you could classify it as demonic, but only twice.
Right.
The other things when I go into inhuman, I would say 2 different occasions we've come across Native American entities. And what I mean by this is when the settlers were coming in.
Like that skinwalker type shit?
Yes, the skinwalker and then wendigos. And when they talk about
gotcha.
wendigos.
I had a 78 Wendigo. That thing was sweet.
Yeah.
Had
It
a
ain't around
kitchen
no
and
more, is
everything
it?
Not the old 78.
Yeah.
Yeah, they made them big back then.
That's
buddy.
right, man. I love that thing.
But them are they cursed, right? The natives, that was their,
Yeah.
they cursed people with the wendigos and the skinwalkers and whatnot.
That's exactly what would happen. So you come across these inhuman things, and they don't act like what a traditional demonic entity would act like. Like demonic entities, as you probably heard, you know, they'll say there's 3 major stages of it, but you know, you have typically infestation, oppression, and then possession. And those are the common things that you see with demonic entities. You don't see that with these inhuman entities. They're just kind of malevolent and malicious, and they give off a similar vibe, but they're different. They don't operate in that sense. Not always. I mean, not to say you can't see them operate like that, but no, we've had a couple of cases. We had one in Holmes County. It was very bizarre, but it was linked directly to the land or the property. And we actually reached out to a shaman up near Toledo.
Now, that's down in Amish country, right?
Yes. Oh, there's a lot
Did
of
you
weird
call
stuff.
everybody
down there.
Holmes when you're down there? Like, what's up?
No, they wouldn't have got it.
Toledo, straight across, what is that, west?
What?
Toledo?
Holmes? Oh, Toledo.
Toledo,
Northwest.
Yeah, northwest up there.
Yeah.
Kind of a lake area, I think.
You know,
Run it through the
spent
map
some time
quest.
up in Toledo.
But yeah, no, we contacted the shaman. He was interested in helping us out, and then he contacts me back a couple of days because we couldn't remove this entity.
Was it the guy I saw on TV, like on January 6th, the shaman guy? Is that who you're talking about? With the big horns on and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, you're talking about QN or whatever.
Isn't that a
the-
shaman?
No,
Not
they call him a
that,
shaman.
not that guy. All right, just making sure. Just
Yeah, I heard he
clarifying.
got his hat back.
Oh, that dude
Yeah, I
from
heard a
the-
judge ordered that they had to give it back to him.
Well, I'm glad that's settled.
So I'm sure we'll see it again. But no,
All
we
right, so you got a shaman from Toledo.
shaman from
Now think how
Toledo.
that sounds, because when I think shaman, I would think like from some Aztec village or something like
That's
that.
basically what it is, though.
Well, this shaman was a little different. He's actually a member of the Cherokee Council. He gave me all the specifics. I can't recite them all perfectly,
Right.
but he told me all this. And when he contacted me back a couple days ago after he said he'd help, he actually told me, he goes, I had to converse with the council, and the council said I'm not allowed to come down there and interfere. And I'm like, well, why not? These people need help. And he's like, look, man, he goes, if Native Americans put that there, it was for a reason, and we are forbidden to interfere with it.
That's crazy.
So,
Well, I mean, they got their customs and traditions, man. You can't be
Did
messing
any
with
of them
them.
have crazy names like Two Dogs Humping or anything like that? Where there's
Two
like-
Dogs Humping.
like there's
for the shaman,
backstory, yeah. You know.
Shaman Jerome.
Shaman Jerome. All right, so now we're Shaman Jerome from Toledo.
Great guy. Very knowledgeable, came highly recommended.
Yeah.
I understood where he was coming from.
Don't
so.
put any spells on me, Jerome. I'm just joking. You know, just-
I'm Eddie White Owl.
Eddie White Owl. Is that like a brand of cheap cigars or something like that?
Sounds like
White
cologne.
Owl?
Like
No.
like what's that from Anchorman, Black Panther
Yeah,
or
he's got
whatever?
So do you guys going into woods and all that shit
Yeah.
looking for that stuff?
Yeah, we actually did one we did on the Berlin Lake murders. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how familiar you guys are, but
We was
there's
actually watching that last night.
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so that one it was kind of spur of the moment. We were like, hey, let's go out there, check it out, see if we can get anything on an unsolved crime. Because we had always heard about the Kathy Menendez murder and the Sarah Bain murder, and it was something that they still haven't solved to this day. So we're like, let's go see if paranormal equipment can pick anything up. So we went out there. We didn't get as much as we would have liked, but we did get one heck of an experience while we were there. So me and Pearson, the other guy member on our team, we went to the location where Kathy Menendez's body was found in the woods. And we're there, it's like 12:30 at night. There's no boaters, any of that going on. Yeah, so Pearson's
Little
so
spooky.
oh gosh, and
a good
Pearson's so
vibe.
freaked out he almost ran on me already for the night. So he's facing the opposite direction than I am while we're investigating, and we heard a woman scream, literally right in front of us. Like, I'm talking, this was less than 20 yards, like blood-curdling
Probably
scream.
shit your
Oh,
pants.
dude, you can
I
look
know
at the
that's
footage,
right, boy.
but you can tell we were scared, but it doesn't really show how scared we were. I mean, we were both contemplating running the heck out of there. It was that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Berlin Lake. I had something happen near there. I used GPS because there was a detour, and all of a sudden I was on like a different detour, and I know the area, so I was like, but I was in no hurry, so I'm like, I don't know, maybe it's gonna teach me a way that I don't know. So now we get way off the path, and I'm looking at this GPS, and like, hold on. So I pulled over and I reset it, and it had me on the right path for a second, and then boom, it goes back to this other way. So I'm like, yeah, why not? So I start going that way, and it leads me down a dead end road. And at the end of the road, there was like a barricade that somebody had put there. And I started getting this feeling like, all right, no, this ain't good.
Was this
So-
Fewtown?
What's that?
Was it Fewtown Road?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Was there like a parking lot off to the left?
You mean like it was on the side where there is a boat ramp not too far from there, I do believe. So, but this was night, and I was coming back from Mercer, PA.
Okay.
So I came from the another direction, and it had me off course. So I instantly put it in reverse and do whoosh, like a whippy Yui around, and all of a sudden the dude comes up out of the tall grass and it starts to try to block the road, and I just floored it. Like
Oh,
I
yeah.
will run you
Oh,
over.
you got
Like,
that
that's-
right.
The car means nothing to me, pal. So, you know, I floored it, and he figured out, and he jumped out of the way, and it was the weirdest shit. And I didn't know who to report it to. Like, what do you call and say, hey, my GPS messed up? And,
Well, when did that happen? Like, can you remember what year?
Let's see. Me and TJ were still staying over in Mercer. That was like 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there's a road out there that for
Dude was,
several years.
I remember what the guy looked like and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
But I think it would have been further
He
back
had a
than 4 years ago.
backpack, too.
Yeah, that's strange.
Yeah, and that's what I thought. Like how? There, I know that you can have that hijacked. You know, your GPS signal and there's things that that people can do. So
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah. But that area out there, who knows? I mean, if it were anybody else, who knows what happened to that person?
Well, there's a lot of Sam Squanches out there too.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah, well, yeah, there's a lot of reported sightings.
Oh yeah, that guy watched that pretty much any of the lakes. But what's crazy is they see all. Like I said, dude gets all those. And a few weeks ago, they got this portal because they have this a thermal camera.
Yeah.
Opened up in
into
this
the
tree and
portal,
all
sir.
kinds of weird shit. Them guys get crazy shit in the woods. That's why I was like, not only claiming to see Bigfoot and all that other stuff, but they seen most of that shit you're talking about too in there.
Yeah, we did have a weird experience. When
But
we
nobody
were,
has any good footage, though. Does anybody have any
No.
good footage of a Bigfoot?
No.
That's what kills it. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially in today's day and age when there's so many cameras.
There's a few good
in so many places.
clips,
Well,
I think.
I always
But they're
like
quick.
the theory that they're interdimensional beings. I find that if there is
I
a
love the fact you
Bigfoot,
used it.
the
that
only way I could see where they went undiscovered like they have is if they can kind of
Slip in and out. Get
Yeah,
the hell out
or
of Dodge.
or alien, and they just simply return.
They say that too, but with how many? I think there's probably, I don't know, more Bigfoot sightings than probably up close UFO sightings.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, there's a lot.
Up close UFO sightings
Yeah.
for sure, but when you look at them across the United States, they're right on one another.
Coincide,
Oh,
on the
okay.
map.
Yeah, I have seen it, like where they're kind of geolocated in the same area. Yeah.
So it lends to that theory.
But
It
that
doesn't prove
just lends to
anything,
the
but-
theory of where
or just
it's
crazy people live there.
unpopulated where them are at.
I
'Cause
see it back
UFOs
there.
normally don't fly around the big cities because then more people
Or
would
we-
see,
we-
especially if there are.
It could just be a map
UFOs.
of the best drugs of the United States too, or in those areas. So I mean, that's-
Maybe it's a cover for the drug cartels.
That's
Nobody wants to go
possible.
there because they might get Sam Squanch.
that's possible.
How do you say that? Teutonic truth? Is that how it?
I don't know.
Teutonic truth
I
says
can't read it
Sound like
that far.
Porky Pig.
white
Wait,
man
it's
taught
gotta
the
be in the
Indians
DVD.
how to open travel agencies and grow European corn.
They were crafty.
Did ours stop moving over there, the ant farm?
Huh?
But no,
The ant farm, is it
No.
still, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right. Yeah, so I mean that's a very interesting area out there.
Right, Berlin.
Yeah.
Spooky. I've been up there a lot of times,
Me
man.
too.
Telling
Back in the day.
Lonnie was up there, and you know Lonnie. I was up there with Stevie, and he had that big Rottweiler. And,
I remember the Rottweiler.
That's right. And she's walking around up there, Roxy, by the water's edge, and Lonnie goes stealthily up behind her, thinking he's going to push her into that 5 foot of drink right there and make a big splash. And at the last second, you heard that noise. And his feet went up, and he made the big splash. It was instant karma got him, and he went ass over tea kettle right there.
That's hilarious.
Oh, dude, it was so funny. He was MFing that poor dog the rest of the day, but I mean, it wasn't the dog's fault. It was karma, baby.
So have you heard many stories or investigated the witch's house that was in the Uniontown area, Springfield area, I guess that would be?
I have not, but I have went and investigated the Witch's Grave, which is up there in West Branch State Park. That was an interesting
That fucking gnat is driving me crazy.
Yeah, they're on the loose,
I'm
man.
gonna get that sucker here in a minute,
If
man.
you drop
so
an
when you guys
F-bomb.
see me doing this shit, I'm just not
say
freaking
that,
out.
That gnats
We
are.
put a quarter
It's
in the
just damn
They say
Wow.
gnats are attracted to estrogen. So
Yeah.
I
And
noticed
who's
it's
it go
not
to?
over here at all. So I mean,
It's that.
Quarter, that quarter, along with
Making
all the
fun of
other
Tom.
quarters in there, go to
That's right.
Humble Creatures
Humble creatures.
on Cleveland Avenue. I always forget to put their address on there, but yeah, for all your
yeah.
veterinary needs.
So what'd you find at the witch's grave? Anything?
So we went out there, and you can't be out there past dark, so we pushed the limit and stayed there past dusk a little bit.
Right.
Man, we were surprised. Like, we had all sorts of EVPs that we captured that matched right with the storyline of the witch's name, which was Clemenza. That actually came through. We were being told to leave multiple times. Yeah. And the story with that is, so there's an Elliott family plot, and West Branch State Park acquired the land like in the 60s. But when they acquired it, they found that there was this old family cemetery that nobody knew about. So people started going back there at nighttime, like messing around, and vandalized it. And then
Oh man.
prior to
People
all
gotta
that,
do
the part with the witch, which is interesting, she was supposedly one of the Elliott daughters, and after she had died, locals reported seeing her around town, so they went out to the family cemetery, dug her up, and moved her
shit.
outside the cemetery walls and reburied her under a bunch of boulders so she couldn't get back up.
Wow.
So we were thinking, okay, this is local legend stuff.
Banana
Like, we're gonna go
oil.
out there. There probably isn't gonna be much going on.
Banana oil.
Yeah, no, there was a whole bunch going on. we got a little creeped out while we were
Like,
there.
oh,
Yeah.
There's generations of people that claim this or that have happened. Even guys that I went to high school with, and myself and a couple of buddies and my brother. We went out there and saw somebody come out of the house, that they called the witch's house. Now, since then, it's been developed around there, and it's not very spooky. But back
Yeah.
then, especially going in the fall or coming into winter, there were some bushes that the stems are red. So at night in your headlights, they look like bleeding bushes. So it kind of,
that's
gave the
wild.
whole ambiance of it.
Fly.
But there was times
gnat.
like
I don't know where the came from.
she came out and threw a hatchet, whacked my buddy's
that
windshield.
door open.
So it was
Holy
like,
cow.
yeah, it just looked like
I think I
a
got it.
lady with
Maybe.
shreddy kind of dress on. I mean, just almost stereotypical in a way, like a Scooby Doo character or something. But
I'm just gonna bring you back to
But yeah, so yeah, we saw some crazy stuff up there.
I knew of a location like that. This was a long time ago. This is like mid
Hit the bell
'90s.
with the
Oh,
fly.
yeah.
But it was
This was 80s when I
near
we were
East
there.
Rochester. There was a location like that, a little house. And ladies get mad. People come out there. They called it the witch house. But it
Oh,
wasn't the same
that
one you were
one
talking
that was
about.
set
This
off
would
from the
have been,
road.
Yeah, it was just off. If you're driving out of East Rochester
It's a
going
little
north, it was a
spooky.
little bit off to the left. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm out there all the
A
time.
lot of stories about that place when we were kids.
That's awesome. So yeah, that was that. Whoa, that got really loud. That was an
I
interesting
just
one.
turned just slightly up. My bad.
Oh, you're good.
Oh,
man.
it sounded
It
good.
just
to
caught me by
baby.
surprise.
I liked it.
What's the
like it.
scariest thing that ever
Can't go
you've
back
ever
down.
come
Guess it
across?
wasn't
Like, you
slightly,
just-
was it?
Right.
ever anything make you be like, oh, you know what? I'm cool. I'm cool for a minute. I'm just gonna step back for a minute.
One of the scariest things I ever came across. We were called down to Columbus for an investigation, and it was a family. It was the mother. She had a husband who was skeptical of her.
Somebody's gotta pinch a leg.
Oh. Should we all hold
You
our
can't
noses when
handle
he
the
comes back?
liquids too well.
Nah, he's
Go ahead.
We're good. So
All right.
Continue.
It's just kind of a thing.
So, yeah, we got called down there, and it was the mom, the husband who was skeptical. She had a teenage daughter that was dealing with, like, kind of preteen issues, kind of like that awkward kind of phase of her life. And then she had a grandmother that was staying down in the basement who was terminally ill and kept seeing shadow figures down in the basement. Well, people were getting scratched in the house. They weren't sleeping. And the sister came over to visit one time, and they had like a rec room down in the basement area. And they're sitting there watching TV, and something grabbed the sister's legs and just completely flung her off the couch. Like, they all witnessed it. And it was, I guess it was really crazy to see. So they're like, we really need you guys to come down here, check it out. We're scared. We don't know who can help us with this. Like, we can't get a priest out here. So we're like, look, we'll go ahead. We'll come down for the day. So this is still in the beginning stages before we were really fully revved up on equipment and cameras and things like that. So we go down there, and my wife, she does a walk through the location to kind of see what she's picking up. So it gives us a read on like where the hot spots might be and whatnot. She's picking up this shadow figure thing that's all scroggly, like a skinwalker, but she's seeing horns with it. And then she's like picking up like, no, this is a spiritual Wendigo that's here. And if you know anything about Columbus area, it was a massive like Indian population there way before settlers moved in.
No, wait, you said horns and it's a Wendigo, so you're talking about like trombones, like those kind of.
No, like a Native American, yeah, the Algonquins talked about them, Wendigos. But a lot of people think of them in a physical form, but from what I've encountered, a lot of times they're in a non-physical form. So we're down there and we're investigating, and she had told us the description, and we're getting all sorts of hits down in the basement. I'm getting hissed at. I got scratched at one point in time.
So where does it sound like the hiss is coming from?
It was directly in front of me. So I'm like sitting there with the recorder asking questions in the basement, and I'm just getting hisses. Like, I'm not even getting like
That's crazy.
conversations, like full-blown hissed at. So we start taking a bunch of pictures while we're down there, and I'm doing triple shot bursts with the Canon camera that, real quick.
Yeah.
And I take a picture near where the shadow figure was always reported to be seen. And they had their furnace HVAC shaft coming out of it. And in the first frame, you see this shadow figure thing come in the frame. And then in the middle, you see it like lurking. So it's like all contorted, and it's staring right at me. And then in the third frame, you see it moving out. Well, at the time, I didn't even know we captured it. I was just taking
Go back reviewing.
Yeah. So I'm taking as many pictures as I can. So it was a really messed up experience. We got it to leave the house at that time. Yeah. So we drive all the way back. I upload the camera footage, and here it is. We see it, and it's exactly what my wife described. And like, it was goosebumps, hair on, it was bad. And I had 3 nasty scratches on my back from the whole thing, and they were probably about, I would say, that long.
Damn.
Wow.
So they were pretty good size. That one was a scary one, and we followed up with the people. The entity didn't come back for about 2 weeks, I would say. And we had suggested a bunch of different things for the family to do after we had done our cleansing to remove it. They didn't do any of that when they called us back. We asked them, didn't do any of it. So we were like, yeah, we're not coming back. When they called to inform us that it was back in the house, we're like, it's not worth it. We're not going to put ourselves at risk, and if you're not going to do the work to get rid of it.
You got to follow through.
What kind of work do they have to do?
Well, a lot of times it helps when you're trying to get rid of something nasty. Once you do an exorcism on the house or a cleanse, for the people about every 2 to 3 days to go through and cleanse the house themselves and do that for a good period of time. And then they can let off a little bit at a time, because that kind of keeps it at bay from coming back in, because it will try to come back.
Sure.
So, and that's...
Especially if it knows it's tormenting you.
Well, if you kick it out of there, wouldn't it just torment somebody else? Like the neighbor's like, hey, man, you're not going to believe this. I lived here 20 years. Everything was cool.
I've come to find they'll go to where there's negativity. So they're going to look for another house, or there's a lot of arguing, a lot of problems, things like that going on. It was fixated on that house and mostly dwelled in the basement because of the grandmother. The grandmother was terminally ill. So this thing was just tormenting her until she was going to die, basically.
Wow, that sucks.
So it was like feeding. That'd be the best way I can describe it. So that was probably one of the nastiest. I've had a couple other ones that are up there, but that one was probably one of the nastiest, and one of the only times I wouldn't go back to a location.
So did you feel it when you got scratched?
Yep.
That burning
Yeah,
sensation.
Yeah, we
like they
took
talk
pic.
about.
Yeah, it was like burning. It was almost like cutting and burning.
You know you're going to turn into a zombie now, right? Since you actually got
That would have happened
scratched.
already. Hey, I'm 45 now. I'm good with that.
Well, actually, the reason we brought you on the show is to let you and the world know that you
Now-
actually are a zombie. So.
Oh, sweet. I
Now,
love it.
Hey, now, what the hell's going on over there? Buenos nachos,
Senorita.
vato, really bigs. Voodoo, what's he say there? Voodoo bongos are even more sinister. Voodoo, did I say that right? Voodoo bongos, yeah, are even more sinister.
Voodoo
Apologize
bongos.
for that. I had to step
Interesting.
Have you
back.
guys? How many people you guys was able to help,
Oh,
like
geez.
doing it in that?
That was my next one.
Since
How
we've
many-
been doing this, I know we have over 143 documented cases.
Cool.
So, did all of those need a cleansing? No,
Uh,
but we've had quite a few that have had to be cleansed. And as far as successfully
Well, even
cleansing,
just resting people's mind, knowing
Really
that if it could be just like their electrical box putting off too much EMF will make you feel like there's ghosts and whatnot.
oh yeah.
I mean, you could go in and figure all that out for them and all that too. So
An interesting one we had was in Akron. It was a lady, she was getting uneasy feelings, kept saying that she was seeing like shadows in her rooms. We go out to the house, and the house is just filled with beta tanks, like beta fish tanks everywhere. And if you guys
Yeah.
know anything about the motors in those pumps, they put out a ton of EMF. So
Oh, wow.
the entire investigation, we
She's
didn't catch a
freaking
thing.
out, huh?
Yeah, and we're getting high EMF all over the place. Like, well, no wonder you're seeing stuff.
At what
Shit.
point did you say, I got to get the demonologist certification? When did you cross that line into, okay, this shit's a little scary? And I
That was
need to
after the
have-
Columbus case.
After,
So you missed the Columbus case I was talking about, but yeah, we had a negative entity down there that I got scratched pretty bad. We caught pictures of it,
Okay.
got hissed at.
okay.
And
And that's when you decided to get certified.
yeah.
Now-
At that point, I was like, I need to get better informed on what we're dealing with.
There you go. And now, do you do like a blessing or a cleansing before you go into those situations
We were
now to
just
kind of
talking
protect
about all
yourself?
that,
Well, what we'll
getting
do,
ready to.
yeah, we'll burn sage is what we'll do. So we'll all go around in sage, or we'll use Palo Santo, just kind of prep. Sometimes we'll do a prayer. We used to do Reiki in the houses, but we found that killed all the activity, which is kind of
So
strange.
eliminated, huh?
Raking?
Reiki.
So it's a Japanese form of energy healing. But it was ironic. We did an investigation down in Carrollton, and my wife had asked if we could bless everybody with Reiki. And on a preliminary, when we were walking through, we were getting hits on the EMF meter like left and right all over, just asking questions. We're like, oh, this is going to be a wild night.
Right.
So we all get together in the living room to do a prayer and do a little Reiki session. The house felt different afterwards. We went around. Nothing came through. Like, we got absolutely nothing. So after that, we were like, yeah, we're
So
no
no
longer
more
doing that.
Reiki bakey before the.
No Reiki bakey.
Bacon.
Yeah, none of that.
That's done.
Yeah, we stay clear of doing that on location. So usually we'll prep before we leave, and then we cleanse ourselves when we go to leave the location. So we'll sage down pretty good, do a little prayer, set some
wasn't ready,
boundaries,
but
like
okay.
you're not allowed to attach yourself or follow us home. And after that, like I would say only one time have I had it where I can say personally I've had something follow me home. And that
That's
was,
a scary thought there.
yeah, and it lasted for about 4 or 5 days until I saged the house, and then I never had another issue with it. So
Wow.
yeah, it was a little
Do you have,
freaky.
like, are there like big bushes of sage that you're like?
No,
going
you
down
just
and, like-
burn them.
The bundles.
I had a little piece. Somewhere.
When you said burn sage, I know somebody named Sage. I just kept
You
picturing
talking about
like,
tumbleweed?
taking a
You're not
lighter.
over there talking about burning some
Sage,
tumbleweed.
don't stop it.
I don't want to put another ghost on location.
Right. Quit burning me. Speaking of burning, isn't this that
No,
wind-
it's not.
the wind leaf
No,
or whatever?
we don't know nothing.
Oh. Okay.
What?
I don't know.
I know you were getting ready to hit with a good one.
What do you
I saw
got?
you back
What
there
are you
plotting
cheering
earlier.
I see how he does.
Well, I want to
Okay.
go back to what we started to talk about. So, whenever you do the questionnaire, when do you determine it's someone telekinetically haunting themselves?
You don't get that through the questionnaire. Typically, we discover that on the investigation.
And then how's it usually manifest? How's it present itself?
So what happens is you have a gifted individual at a location. And when I say gifted, I mean somebody that has like mediumship-like abilities.
And what does that entail?
Mediumship would be the ability to communicate with spirit guides or the other side. to be able to receive signs, symbols, or
Synchronicity.
be able to
read the energies of the room.
yeah, be able to see things that most people can't see that are there. Those are the type of people. And like we had one investigation we went to, it was 3 sisters. All of them were gifted. All of them. So we went out there and we interviewed them again once we got on location before we started the investigation. And there was a common thread. They all told us all the activity. They lived there their whole life in this house. The house was built only in like, I think 89. And they all started to experience activity when they were going through puberty. So that was a common thing.
That's a big one,
Wow.
too.
Yeah, so we're going.
How old were they when you went there?
I want to say the oldest was.
Don't walk into his trap. You watch this guy right here because I see where he's going.
I see what's going on.
No, I'm just asking.
They were a little bit younger than us.
You see this bear trap?
They were all over
Loud my
18.
ears, guys.
Yes.
Setting a
And-
bear
and
trap for a
doing
buddy.
over
I'm,
there?
I'm just
Clipping.
following trends here. So you go there, right? And there's more ladies and more hissing. And did you come home with scratches on your back again?
No.
Or, I mean,
No, I didn't on that one.
I
We
smelled it.
did get some crazy activity though. So
What is it about the ladies in puberty? Why is that so important?
because that's when the mediumship abilities or their abilities to tune in
begin to
to
present,
the otherworldly, tend to amplify and
or
really
they
kick
turn
in.
them off.
Yes.
Find out what's
And-
really going on.
And the other part of it is too, like every teenager or preteen, you're dealing with a lot of
Angst,
turmoil
right.
and trying to figure out yourself and a lot of confusion and emotions. So it tends to just amp
It's a
that up.
storm.
And they'll call them a
The perfect storm.
psychokinetic entity is what they call it, a PK entity. So basically these things get manifested or created because these people are so in tune, they can actually start to create their own thing. So if they're sitting there and they're going through puberty and they're dwelling about the entity in the corner and thinking that there's an entity in the corner, it's almost like they manifest it. And then it happens for the one, and then the one goes and tells the other 2, and then they start to manifest it, and then it
That's right.
grows.
They're feeding it, right?
Yes.
Right. And now, is that a form of hysteria, or are we actually creating something on that spiritual plane that is now a dimensional type being?
They're creating it. It's a created being now. And,
That's right.
and the reason why I say that is like even that case that I'm talking about, there's some amazing evidence we captured. We had an SLS camera, which that's an Xbox Connect camera that monitors movement and
Motion,
bodies,
right.
yes, through infrared.
Temperature, right?
So we caught this figure come in on the ceiling of the room. We had a REM pod sitting at the bottom of the stairs, and we were asking it to set off the REM
is that
pod.
like a pod that just plays REM music all the time?
That would be terrible. I would have to leave. I would throw it in the trash.
Otto, this guy over here.
Just checking, There's some people could be confused. They might not know.
be a terrible
He's throwing all these
dimension.
three-letter words out there. Like,
Yeah.
come on, that's big.
So the REM pod, it basically it
See
has.
a REM pod. Tell me. I'm right.
So the REM pod has an antenna on it, and it puts out an electromagnetic field. And when there's any type of disturbance, whether by a person or by another energy field, it'll cause it to set off. So the theory behind it is that it makes it much easier for spirit to be able to use it as a means of communication. So when this happened, this figure comes in off the ceiling, comes down, and we got it on the SLS camera, and it squats over top of the REM pod and starts swinging its hands back and forth trying to set it off. It disappears, and not even a second later sets off the frickin' REM pod.
Wow.
PK entity. So they're a real thing.
How about the ones that the Tesla's picking up? Same thing? Where it's picking them up in the cameras in the front and the back?
All those?
The Tesla car.
I didn't hear about that's like the Ring cameras, I take it.
Well, the around you cameras on the cars, they're picking up entities
I'm not
that aren't
surprised.
there.
You know why that probably is?
They're driving through cemeteries and they're picking up heat signatures in front of
They're
tombstones.
I
stuck
think
on
I
the
did
front
see a
like
video
bugs
of
on
that.
on the bumper or what?
The bumper cams and the
Yeah.
front bumper cams.
I think it's because of the cameras.
There's one that they got where the guy is walking a dog or something, and there he is walking the dog. But when you look in the camera, there ain't nobody there.
Well, the best way I can
Or
explain
vice
it.
versa. See him in the camera, but in real life he's not.
So I talk about this a lot with people. Like, why do some people see
Optical
ghosts?
illusions.
Yeah, why don't other people see it? Why can't you get it with equipment, but you can't with your ears? The fleshy eyes and the fleshy ears can only
There
be
you
able to
go.
distinguish a certain frequency
Spectrum
range
and
That's
frequency,
right.
within
right.
existence.
That's right.
So when you bring equipment in it, that's why it's so imperative that you
third
use
eye, too.
equipment to try to actually prove this stuff. Is the equipment isn't
Document everything.
yes, it's not on that limitation that the human eye and the human ear is. It can go much outside that spectrum, just like a camera. Camera can catch more than what the human eye can.
Absolutely.
That's why they tend to kind of get detected on cameras.
That's like the subconscious and the third eye.
Yeah. Digital recorders, when you catch things on digital recorders, I can tell you there's been many times I should have heard it with my ears, but because it's operating at that different frequency, I didn't, but the recorder caught it. And there it is.
Tom's
So
got
you-
his third eye on. I keep looking at it over there. He's looking at me.
This
You've-
one here.
Done 143 calls.
Oh, I think I got that one.
You've done
Don't go Bruce
you-
Leroy on me.
Have you? Did you guys ever? Did you,
Was it
you ever
100?
go do Molly Stark?
I never did Molly Star.
I heard that some bitch was haunted as hell over there, boy.
I know a bit about it. I have friends that actually are connected to it. I can't go too much in detail, but there have been a few stories that have come out, even from firefighters that have been in there doing training exercises.
Uh-huh.
Very haunted, but the problem is you're taking a chance going out there that the ranger might pick you up, and they watch it pretty good. They got cameras and
That's
sensors
right.
and stuff now. It's
It's
much harder than it
dangerous
was.
in there. That's why.
Yeah.
143 calls. Did I hear that right? That's how many you've done?
Yeah, 143 investigations documented.
That thing likes you, man. I don't know what.
How many undocumented?
Yeah.
What's that?
How many
How many
undocumented?
I couldn't tell you. Probably, if I had to guess, probably 70 maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a lot.
Crazy.
Okay, so it takes a lot of energy to slide something across the table, I think, for some of these things. You know, have you ever gone into a place where the activity was so strong where you were seeing stuff that was visibly being moved?
Here's what I can tell you. I just had a case when we went to the Ross house recently, I'll tell you about, and it's kind of wild.
Where's that at?
So the Ross house is in Bel Air, Ohio.
Okay.
It's
I
notoriously
recommend the
haunted.
steak. It's really good there.
Some meat.
I never saw a steak, so maybe it was dead. I don't know. But yeah, we were doing our investigation, and we set cigarettes up on top of the fireplace mantle, and there's a spirit that supposedly haunts that room named Alfred. And we didn't set them there expecting that they'd get moved. They just got set there.
Right.
So later on in the night, nobody had messed with it. We came back and looked, and they had been moved. Like, we talked to the owner later on. She confirmed that's happened with other people. And there's actually a guy that'll visit the house, and he leaves cigarettes for the spirit there. So that was interesting. And then while we were also there,
Does the spirit smoke them then, or they disappear, or?
no, they
Just
sit
like
there. It just
they're hovering in
he's
the
probably
corner,
trying to
just
pick it up to
running
grab it, and he scoots it across. Probably, I don't know,
I
but
need to mark my mic.
You need a mork.
Mork?
Mork your mic.
Just
it.
that little mark, you know.
All right,
so I know.
I'll get you one,
I got one.
like everybody else.
Right.
So you know.
Exactly.
So
I'm sorry.
You have to be part of the club. You're a owner.
Did you ever do the
Black
flower
Mine's
trick?
See, you're part of the club.
Did you ever do the flower trick and get footprints?
I've never tried the flower trick.
People
I
kind of
mean, I hate
like
to call
that
it a
in
trick,
their house.
but
He's
Yeah.
talking about baking flour, cooking flour.
Yeah, you
not
put it
like
down
shit
and-
growing in your yard.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
there's something walking around, you know, they say you can get footsteps
Yeah.
sometimes. in
They
the
say
powder.
that, but
What?
I've seen very little evidence to prove that
I
that
just
works.
wonder
Well,
if it worked.
Yeah.
Was it the Columbus? What was the most craziest
Because
place
that's like
you
a
ever
physical
investigated?
manifestation.
It was Columbus.
Columbus,
Yeah,
yeah.
I would say Mercer was up there, which you guys might have saw that one. I got scratched on the back of the neck in that one. That one was what I would consider possible demonic infestation there. The lady there, she wasn't sleeping. She was getting attacked in her sleep at night. She was getting thoughts in her head about actually killing her children.
Wow.
It was pretty nasty. The kids were all freaked out, and they would see this entity that had like a mud-covered face.
Ooh.
And it was very menacing looking, come
Right.
out of the attic, which was right by the kids' room,
Right.
and freak them out. And then the husband started seeing things there and experiencing things there. And yeah, it was wild. It kind of escalated. Like, we went through that house like a normal investigation.
Right.
Everything was fine.
Right.
We're running the obelisk. We're getting some really cool stuff about the woods I was telling you about.
Yeah.
And it picked up when we went to the attic. And it was crazy because we were doing an SD session, and my wife says my name, which means that the spirit said my name. And right when it did, I'm holding the camera. I got 3 scratches on the back of my neck. And I freaked out. We kind of like hurried up and kind of holy watered ourselves up right then and there. Okay, we got to watch with what we're dealing with. And then this is where it gets creepy.
Like when you're in Tijuana and they tell you just pour some tequila on it when you're done.
Exactly. It better be blessed tequila.
I learned how to make holy water.
Yeah.
Yeah, you boil the hell out of it.
That's right.
That'll do it.
So you know the stables,
in Canton?
Timken Stables over there.
Mm-hmm.
So we used to climb around in there when it was before it was a restaurant back in the day.
Yep.
And me and the Jamies, there was the core.
There was a haunted house
we had
for
the
a
Jamies.
quick
We had
minute.
two dudes named Jamie, my brother, and my buddy Jamie Hargis, and we're in there messing around one night, and I almost did that, and everybody has to take a leak. We had flashlights, and so we just kind of hold the flashlight, and everybody starts peeing. And the light's down on the ground towards Jamie a little bit, and it's just pure blood. And we're like, dude, what the heck, And then we look, and we're all peeing blood. It was crazy. We were freaking out. Here there was a red floor in there, and it just had so much dust on it.
Scared the shit out of you, huh?
Yeah, but for a minute we were all like, oh my, this place is haunted.
I was going to say, that's weird.
I used to work for this real estate company, and this house was over off of like Gibbs and like 14th, like a block off of Gibbs. And none of the other maintenance guys would go in there, and they gave it to, I worked with my old man, and they gave it to him. So we go there. As soon as we get there, on the door that you go in, they gave us the key for it. There was this little prayer and shit and whatever. Because the guy told us, oh, nobody will go in it because it's haunted. And we're like, oh, bullshit. And we'll go in this bad boy. And we went in there and never really felt nothing crazy or nothing. But this did happen like every time. We go up, and I don't know what it is with these attics, you know what I mean? We went up and we go up in the attic to smoke at smoke break. And the doorknob would be laying on the floor like in the middle of the room because the attic side didn't have a knob on it. So we come down, close the attic door, and I'd put the thing back in because it was the knob with the stem on it. And I'd stick it back in the door, and we'd take off. And then, come break time, that was when we first got there in the morning. Come first break, we went up in the attic, do a little smoking, get up in the bedroom, and the door's open. And the doorknob's laying in the middle of the floor. It's like, man, I was like, who's messing around? And it was like, not me. And our boy Gary, that's usually in the chat, he was one of them. And we're making jokes and shit. And then we go to leave. And I shut the door and I put the doorknob in. I was like, I got my eye on you guys. You know what I mean? Because I thought, really they was messing with us. So we get done, we go to lunch. Come back from lunch. I'm the first one up the stairs just because the fucking door was open. Whoops. And the doorknob was in the middle of the dang on floor.
Wow.
And it was crazy. And it didn't matter how many times you put that doorknob in there and closed the door, it would end up open with the doorknob in the middle of the floor in the same spot every time in the middle of the floor. Wow. And that was all that ever happened there at that house, but that damn sure happened.
What was that?
I would say that it's possible it was an entity. Did you guys ever try to do anything to see if by moving the door around that would happen again?
Yeah, we tried all that stuff and kicked it and went down and was opening up the other doors to see, you know what I mean? And it was a pretty, actually, it was one of them where it would barely, it was real tight, you know what I mean? Like
Was it a metal doorknob, like the heavy, like the old-fashioned ones?
Yep, exactly what it was.
Yeah, I would say I've come to find that a lot of times they almost kind of take shelter in an attic or a basement space.
Because nobody goes there.
Exactly, they can kind of hide there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Have you ever had a visual that really startled you, where you feel like something's watching you?
Mm-hmm.
And you did see something, you saw something, but when you look, there's nothing there.
I've experienced that with shadow figures.
Everybody's got that.
Okay, let's leave off at shadow. Are we getting to that time, or did we start real late, or how?
We always start late because you was in there pooping again.
No,
the hell you talking about?
We're gonna start an episode from in there.
We're at 53.
Here we go, Eddie's.
This guy.
So yeah, shadow figures. I've seen many of those. I've had a few experiences that weren't with my physical eyes, but yeah, shadow figures would be the big
I
one.
just wonder if we could make shadow puppets on the screen
Right.
right
That
there
would be
behind
cool.
us. Yeah.
Give them some
My
words.
grandmother. bonded over that conversation before she passed.
Shadow puppets? That's
Grandma
And then
Badinsky before.
I've told the story a few times about my old house, man. There was something that it wasn't like evil, I don't think, but it sure liked to pull pranks and do crazy shit. Like
Canton's
move
got to be
shit
one of the
and-
most haunted cities.
There's a lot of stuff
Anywhere.
going on in Canton. There's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff.
I
Yeah.
had something that would always turn off my my Madden football game. If I was winning towards the end of the game, I'd play in my basement. It was like 29th and Gibbs in a house over there, and I'd be like, "Don't do it, don't," and it would happen. Like, you know, it was like you could feel it. Like I could feel the thing, whatever it was. Whatever was causing it to turn off, it only did it down there. Like if I played upstairs, no problem, you know. And I used to take that thing with me because I traveled at the time. It was so long ago, it might even been like a Sega or something, you know. But whatever gaming device it was, I tried different outlets, I tried everything, and it was like you'd feel this tension or whatever, and then boom, it would shut off. To the point
Was it
where-
like nervous gut energy?
Well, I mean, I felt it like you could cut it. You know what I'm saying? Like I would feel it, and it would be there the whole time I was playing.
the
I
best-
keep hearing like, share, and subscribe in my ear, but I
Yeah.
don't know.
I think that entity would say it for sure.
We would never tell you to like, share, and subscribe. We would never do something.
Yeah. Why would you do that?
But by the way, speaking of like, share, and subscribe, this guy has a YouTube channel. Get on down there and like, share, and subscribe.
Rogues Hollow Paranormal.
There you go.
We are
Rogues Hollow.
subscribed.
Not
Well,
just
I
one,
am subscribed,
but
but
a paranormal.
since our thing's open, I will go down there and I'll put that on a featured channel on Media Farms as soon as now that the computer's on.
Yeah, we have a lot of investigations
That's where I
we've
keep
done in the
hearing
past
stuff.
couple of years. We've
Like
put on there some really good material. So if you're into this stuff, I'd check it out.
There's a
we're-
guy that talks to us on there, really bigs.
I haven't
I've seen
that
him
movie. Did it
levitate
freeze?
before.
Oh yeah.
Like he can just levitate.
He
I don't know
fart?
if I want to talk about it ever or not, but yeah.
Did he
Oh, I gotta
fart
see
by-
that.
I don't know. It's
Or
you
does he
guys.
do that yoga
If he
stuff?
wants to talk about it, he can. But yeah, he's,
What's this about you levitating?
yeah.
I've got to hear
Really
this.
bigs.
I just go
Am I
in there
really-
and other things are levitating.
He's
too.
probably like, oh, I'd rather tell the story, but not typing it.
yeah. Right. Well, it's out
Where's he
there.
at?
I can't say.
Oh, I mean, is he local or is
Yeah, local enough.
he? We could probably have him on the show one day
Maybe.
to tell his little
I don't
tale.
know.
Then
My
Yep.
grandmother and I, before she passed, were talking about Edgar Casey and shadow figures because she started seeing them. And she was asking me if I'd ever heard of shadow people, Eddie. And I said, yeah, Grandma. And she was listening to Art Bell and a lot of that stuff. And she said that she had a theory that she thought it was Grandpa was coming through the mirrors. And I was like, that's really interesting, Grandma. And we had a lot of really interesting conversations about that very thing. Because I said I saw something similar in Mom and Dad's house. I woke up past the witching hour at some point, and something was staring at me. You know how you have that feeling when someone's staring at you?
Oh, yeah.
And I pulled focus, and I had those big waffle earphones on from the 70s, you know, and I'd fallen asleep listening, but they were off. And this thing wasn't breathing or anything. I couldn't hear it. But it was a 5'5" shadow of a person that was static. It was moving, and it took a step towards me, but as it took a step, it was like and disappeared like smoke. It was just like, now did I see that? What am I looking at now? And then I found out later on that that's like those shadow people type things. So what is the deal with those kind of in the community that you're involved in? How do you guys view the shadow things?
You can see them as two things. Sometimes they may just be a spirit and you're just catching them as a shadow because you're investigating in the dark. It's just kind of the way the movement goes. And then other times there's what I believe to be it's an interdimensional being.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. One
So
of those.
these interdimensional beings, what they'll do, they'll come into our dimension, and typically they go after people that are gifted. 9 times out of 10, because they can see.
that's
'em.
where the energy's at.
Yes, and they feed off fear. So they'll start off small, and they'll slowly get bigger. They'll change their form. They'll do things to try to spook that person out, and as they do,
yeah.
they're able to do more and more things.
See, that explains a lot, and that's like, pretty
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah, we've seen that on multiple investigations. So there's a really good book. It's I believe it's called Shadow Dimension. Mike Ricksecker wrote it, He's actually a buddy of mine.
Shout out, sir.
Yeah, Mike actually, Alaskan Triangle, and there's been a few other programs he's been on. He wrote a really good in-depth book if you're interested in reading up more about shadow figures.
And you know what? I can't wait to, find out about some of these other places in the next hour where else you've been, because there's a few places I'm curious about that you haven't talked about yet, and it's going to be interesting.
As far as trying to find out more information, the ghosts will tell you when to go.
When to go?
Yeah, when to
When
go.
to go?
Just use
Oh,
when to go. Right.
He's a crafty one, that guy over there.
When
Hey,
to
Nick,
go.
you hear this guy
Hey, you
over
know
there?
what? You can ask Eddie. He always knows when
He's
to go.
on the roll.
When to
He's
go.
on the roll, Nick.
This guy I know, man. What he's saying
it.
over here. I don't know, something in the sound.
Is it
there was
break
a
time
weird
now?
Swell right
Well,
there.
it's the gate on his mic. If you notice when he talks, you hear the air conditioner, but on R3 you don't, which I've been sitting here trying to run that up. Watch.
I was
Hear it?
hearing that. Yeah, if
And
I
then
talk
so
too
then you
loud
hear that
sometimes.
I don't know why your mic's picking it up.
Hey,
R3's
Nick,
not.
this guy
It's
over here
awful
making
weird.
excuses.
I don't know. This audio technician over here don't know what he's
Let's,
doing, does
Gotta
he?
get them t-shirts in it.
Maybe it's because I was at a haunted location today. I don't know.
Right.
You keep that stuff out of here. What are you talking about?
Don't slime me.
So,
Hey, you know what? These guys got me a birthday cake, by the way. So
Happy
thanks to my
Otto's birthday.
family here and Z off screen over there.
Larry brought him a
Thank you,
nice little
everybody.
present, too.
Yeah, Larry. My brother Larry. Love you guys.
Happy birthday.
We love you, too, man.
Otto.
I didn't say I loved you. I just met you. All right, I love you, brother.
Screw you too, Ted.
One of the last
We're
times we
one
got
big
together and
happy
hung
family
out,
here.
I remember I was drinking at Doug's house for about 2 days.
You're
and
drinking a lot of cognac
I was
back
drinking
then.
Paps. Well, yeah, but I was
Yeah.
drinking a lot of
Pabst.
other stuff too. But I was drinking Paps that day.
A lot of
PBR
German
beer.
beer.
And the day before, because I was on the golf course with my
Like a
brothers.
nice cold
And then I
Pabst.
started drinking mezcal.
Been dying for one of them.
And you guys
Coke
came and
or
picked me
Pepsi?
up, and we went out to the Wilderness Center at like 2 a.m. And Lonnie's like, "This is where you're getting brought into the crew."
Out there in Alliance,
And oh yeah,
I love that place.
And
I've been
it's-
wanting to take Z
Oh,
out
I
there.
love it out there. But at 2 a.m.,
Oh, I don't know about no 2 a.m.
I gotta say, it leaves a little
That's
something to
some
be
spooky
desired.
shit out there, boy.
There's a
That's
different
It's
feel.
dark. I've been out
There's
there
some
right when it
goats out
starts
there,
getting
for sure.
dark, boy, and you
I-
can't see shit in them woods, bro.
Hey Nick, it's kind of scary,
Ooh,
huh?
I tell you what now.
So these guys got me out there, and on the drive out, I'm laughing because they abducted me. They think they're gonna scare me, but I'm so annihilated after 2 days of drinking, I didn't give a shit, and I started farting. It just
He
happened.
got nervous,
Oh
Nick.
my
You know what
God.
happens when he gets nervous.
They
He
were the
starts
worst,
farting.
nasty beer farts.
Those
you've
were the
ever
real demons.
ever
He
seen in your
started,
life.
he started eating
And
cheese.
they were very silent and very violent.
That
And
come
I
through
laughed
pretty
myself
good.
silly, man, the whole drive back there, just making myself sick with my own
White
excrement.
people love cheese.
And then when we got out there, I
Eats
just
cheese,
remember
he gets nervous, then he farts.
you guys bailed on me. And I
nacho
started
cheese.
singing that song to Lonnie. I'm not like you guys. He has sex with guys. Oh, I
Holy
hated it. I was
fazoli's.
singing it so loud all the neighbors could hear it, man. Just
Yeah.
yell and holler. And I started calling him out by name, and then that brought him out of the dark. He was afraid he was gonna get outed by name.
Tom, it's happening again.
Lonnie, where are you at, Lonnie? You know Lonnie. You remember Lonnie
I know
that day.
Lonnie.
You and
This guy
Lonnie got a score to
Oh,
settle.
you know Lonnie?
Yeah, I know Lonnie, little
Oh,
bastard.
yeah.
Yeah.
I got
Way
you,
back.
Lonnie. I got you.
He's got him. He was
Got
that.
you on my 5.
He was the
Bitch.
ayahuasca guy. He's the one who went all the way. He studied with that
That
shaman.
old like 70s
Right
dirt
before,
bike or something.
right before he took off to go do all that shit, he used to live above me.
Oh,
And he
okay.
made certain promises that he didn't keep up on.
I'm not surprised about that one.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
Pay off,
whatever.
Lonnie.
Like, share,
Meanwhile-
and subscribe.
It is that time.
And
I
make sure
guess.
your grandma subscribes too.
Almost
Do her a
that
favor.
time.
She's doesn't know what to watch. So just,
She doesn't know how it works, though, so
Right.
just subscribe
Help
as
her
well.
out. Your aunts, your uncles.
Bring that boy up. Let him know. Tom, hit his green
Oh,
light.
let me. I
Friends
don't
at the
even
bus
have
stop.
it. I was
We gotta
gonna
get
do
that-
earlier. Let me
Hey,
find it.
we got that middle cut too that you always get to that I love to hear.
Middle cut.
Yep, the outro.
Oh, there you go. Light on.
Outro.
It's for Owl.
It's the midtro.
It's the outro.
Actually, the midtro.
The midtro, that's right.
Midtro, it's the halftime show
That's
thing.
right.
He's ready. Are we ready?
Does Alex know? Did you give him his
Yeah,
light?
I got his light on.
Have Z fade him up how she
Yeah.
does. That always looks nice whenever
Pretty
he
cool.
comes
Hey,
up
guys,
there.
we'll be back in like a few minutes. We're going to give you the owl.
I'm rushing out because
We're going to use the
fight over
bathroom
head.
and refill our cups and do all that stuff.
That's right.
So we shall return
We'll be thinking of
after
only
these
you.
messages. Hit that middle thing. Our middle thing.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We shall be having a brief intermission in our feature presentation. We'd like to remind you all there are snacks and light refreshments at the front bar, hookers and cocaine in the back room. I know where I'll be. The second half of our program will begin momentarily, a little darker, slightly more sinister. Good times for all. Thank you and good night.
on high.
Some famous questions,
Famous question.
just to jog
We are back.
jog it up.
Jog.
While I was outside
Full
having my
of talk.
cigarette, I thought of a question that was bugging me because, you know, I got into this ghost story stuff when I was younger, being that I'm a writer, you know, and I love horror and writing horror. Amityville Horror. Did you ever get to go to that house, man?
No.
Over in New England or around it or any of that?
I haven't been around it. I know somebody who's been there.
How about Washington Irving's house? Did you ever go down into the Hudson Valley in New York at all?
No.
Real spooky there too, because he wrote The Headless Horseman. But when you're sitting in his backyard and you look at the little bridge over there, I could see as a writer where you could be inspired to write a story like that. And the transients walking down past the railroad tracks down there by the river. And his house was all very metaphysical in the back where the wood pile was and stuff. A lot of like octagonal stuff, I think. And then there were a few others too. Very like a energy vortex
like
that
UFC
he
stuff,
created
it's
there. You know what I mean?
The most haunted location, like area-wise, I've been to, be Gettysburg. I've investigated there. I've been there like 3 times, and my wife and I actually caught a picture of 2 spirits outside the Farnsworth house. It was wild. There's people walking out the front door, and she takes a picture from across the street. Clearly, you can see 2 ghosts right behind them. 2 beings. One looks like a child. The other one looks like a full-grown adult. That's posted on the Rogues Hollow Facebook page. You can check that out too. But it's pretty wild stuff. But that place is
What do
nuts.
they call that? Is that an apparition?
Yeah, that would be a full-body apparition.
Okay, now what do you call it? Now, before we went out on the little break there, I had a encounter, I guess, at a very old apartment I lived at in Cleveland.
Close encounters.
And I just remember I was going to put a job application, which was one of the reasons why it was so marked in my memory. But I was in a hurry leaving the apartment, and we lived up on the 3rd floor, and there was an inaccessible roof. You could only get through the skylight, which was all cobwebbed over. No one had been up there in decades. Mm-hmm. And there was always footsteps above the bedroom. It drove us crazy. Both of us trying to figure out to explain it away so you could get a good night's sleep sometimes. And I was rushing out of the apartment, and as I did, and here's how I'll say it, I know you've seen it. Someone will open up a door outside of your house, and when they open up their car door, it'll cast a reflection of light across the room. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is what I thought was taking place. But upon, like, my mind, as I'd already walked past the room, was like, wait a minute, that was in the middle of the room. I stepped back, and there's this light anomaly that, to this day, I can't describe, that was in the middle of the damn room. And it went straight down through the floor and disappeared. Now, I get the job that I go apply for that day. Jump ahead 90 days. I'm working here. I'm going to shout him out. I love you, Rini Rigo. That was a great midnight's job stocking shelves. I caught a phone call at 3:45 a.m. from my girlfriend at the time, hysterical. The neighbor that lived downstairs, where that ball and light went, was up in our living room with her, and they'd been playing Buck Euchre together. And that had come out of the bedroom, into the room with them, and it got right in front of C's face, and it went down through the floor, and she refused to go back to her apartment. She was hysterical in the background. Mm-hmm. What are those like? Because when I went up, I walked her home, and we walked all through the apartments together, and there was nothing there. I got everybody excited, and don't worry, you guys are safe now, you know.
They're just a manifestation of spirit. I mean, that's really what it is.
Fighting.
Yeah, I mean, they can show themselves in many different forms, but light anomalies, if it's not something nasty, it's not an uncommon form.
You know, it's hard to say light because there were colors to it. The way that you see an oil slick on the water, you know.
Kind of had like rainbowy kind of colors to it.
Yeah, opalescent.
Yeah, that sounds about right and consistent. Yeah.
And I did want to say before he got started 5 minutes ago, welcome back, everybody. We're glad to be here. We want to say big thanks to Miss Mills for producing the show for the last few weeks. And remember, this guy has a YouTube channel, Rogues Hollow. Check that out. This guy, he just dips out.
Wow.
We're gonna have to get him one of those things
That's
that
what
you
the
strap
brakes
to your
for.
leg.
Right. No shit.
He's just like, oh my God, pew. He kills me too. He puts Nestle Quick in the chocolate. I mean, in the coffee, like
coffee.
a little bit of coffee in his Nestle Quick. I'm like, why don't you just drink hot chocolate? Why do you even waste the coffee?
It's like chocolate coffee.
Yeah. Need some super caffeinated hot chocolate. I could get into that.
Yeah, I've heard of some strange sweeteners. That's hardcore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a honey guy. I put honey in mine, like natural or a local honey, you know.
That's a safe way to go, man.
Yeah.
And I also want to give a shout out and thank you to Miss Mills for coming in there and recording that gas band the last couple days and doing some editing and all kinds of stuff. That girl was badass. Wait till y'all hear her stuff.
Yeah, what?
Talking about our stuff.
I was going to ask Eddie about books, but I'll just ask you. Are you familiar with that Russian author that writes all the scary slasher books? Mm-mm. Ripper Tits Off?
Yeah.
How many copies have there
Come out all right there.
All of them.
All of them.
Yeah.
Everything come out all right there? Look, you already got the thing twisted up already.
All right, sorry about that.
Your microphone, that is. Oh, it's not me, he says. I just had it straight and he's got it twisted.
I know.
Twisted, just like him, twisted.
So, I'm going to poke the bear, the Bigfoot.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your opinion of the Bigfoot? You said interdimensional being.
Bigfoot.
Have you ever encountered any of the
talking about
cryptid
the
type
Bigfoot.
stuff when you were out stumbling around in the dark looking for ghosts?
I have.
Anything?
Oh, do tell.
Because I wanted to ask this for a while because I know how much Tom's into it, and I am too. The Bigfoot stuff's something that intrigues both of us.
So
Not that I've ever seen one myself personally, but I love it.
So I've had two. One was at Berlin Lake. So I was at the end of Fewtown Road, if you know where that's at, down by the lake where it dead ends. And we were doing an investigation, and it was dusk time. And we heard what you would typically hear people would call as a Bigfoot call. And it was like probably about 200, 300 yards away from us.
Did it make the hairs stand
Oh, yeah.
up?
Oh, yeah.
you
We
know
all
that's
looked at
some
each
real
other.
Sound
shit.
like that Columbia
Because, you know, people
County.
always say that, but, you know, people faking that doesn't make the hair on
No.
your arms stand
Right.
up. When you
No.
hear that shit for real and that shit happens, you're like, whoa, bro, what
That's
was that?
It was very, very
Preternatural.
strange, and we all knew it at the time. And it wasn't one of those birds they blame it on sometimes. I know what
Owl
those sound
and
like.
shit.
Well, when you
it's,
think about it, there's the Patterson film, you know, that's famous in our area, the Columbiana County Bigfoot howl, you know, that's been
Right. The
run
Ohio
through,
howl,
yeah,
what they call
run
it.
through the mill, you know, with all the different.
That's what got Larry's kid started in all of it.
Oh, is that right?
That
Yeah.
particular, because when Larry
can't
was young, he
disprove it.
heard
They
that
can't
same
categorize
exact
it.
sound down there in Marietta. Was telling Brandon about it. My nephew Brandon scores films for Small Town Monsters, and now he's out in L.A. doing Disney stuff and Sony and all this other stuff. Now he's
Awesome.
badass.
Yeah,
Brandon.
Minerva Monster. Have you seen
J-Lo.
that?
Yeah.
yeah.
I've
So
watched it.
that's- Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. But yeah, we had that experience, and then we were doing an investigation. If you've ever heard of the Copus Hill Massacre here in Ohio, but it was the last time there was a murder or a killing altercation between Ohio settlers and Native Americans.
Right.
And it was a gentleman by the name of John Copus. The government approached him, wanted him to influence these Native Americans to leave the premise because he could speak their language,
Right.
and he refused to do it because he was friends with them. And the government was like, "Well, if you don't, we're going to go in and we're going to shoot him." So he goes in and tells them, like, "Hey, you guys need to move. You can come back later on."
Wow.
So he tells them when the natives are marching away from their home because they agree to relocate for the winter months or whatever the situation was.
Right.
They look back and they notice that their entire village is on fire. Literally, the military started burning everything the second they left. So,
Give us your guns, you'll be all right.
yeah, so it's a crazy story.
Trust us.
Here,
So
here's
there's-
these
there's-
blankets.
There's a monument
Stay
erected there and
warm.
everything. It's kind of wild. So these natives came back to kill John Copus because they felt like they were betrayed. And John Copus had traveled with the military to another location, and some of his family members were left there, and they left a small guard to watch over him. Well, the natives just came in and swarmed him, just about killed everybody. I think the only person that lived was one of his daughters, who ended up getting like a musket ball through the leg. And it was pretty nasty. They actually ended up down by the creek bed, and the natives were scalping some of the troops and stuff in the creek beds. I mean, it was pretty bad, but nobody ever investigated it. So I had an invitation to go down with another investigator. This was separate from Rogues
I bet
Hollow.
that was some crazy.
Yeah. So when I was contacted, I'm like, yeah, I'll go. That sounds awesome.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So we go down and we're out in the woods, and to stir up the activity, we had taken a 45 ACP with us in 1911, and we fired it off at about 2 o'clock in the morning because we're like,
Sweet.
maybe a gunshot will trigger
Right.
stuff to start
Right.
going on.
Oh.
It's like starting a race.
Yeah. Yep. So we fire it off, and we take this long trail that's right along the creek bed and goes through, like, not deep woods, but woods. And we're taking it for a long ways. Our cameras die. Batteries get completely drained.
All that good shit. Flashlights.
This goes back to why you should always have a digital recorder recording.
Right.
So we start to smell what smells like just straight up death, like death. Like it
Sasquatch.
smelled like rotting flesh nastiness.
Right.
And we're like, what the heck? And me and the other investigator were both are taking note of it, talking like, do you notice that? Yeah, I noticed that. Something's dead.
That affiliates with giants too.
Yes. So right after, we hear the scariest blood-curdling scream on the other side of this creek. And I mean, this creek is almost like a river. There's a dam downstream from it. So that gives you an idea how big it is.
Right.
Just loud as you ever heard. Like it was there, and it was not
A
human.
woman or a man, or just
It was
something.
not human.
Blood
Some kind of-
curdling.
yeah, some crazy shit.
Yeah,
huh?
it scared the crap. It wasn't like a wolf or anything crazy like that. It was something I didn't recognize, and it was
Right.
frightening. Wish I would have
Some
had
shit
that.
you didn't want to see, huh?
Yeah.
What
yeah.
year was that?
That would have been back in 2005, 2006-ish, I'm guessing.
Early on for you.
So yeah, that was a while ago. That was still kind of in the early days, but man,
Yeah.
it was a wild experience. We also caught Native Americans chanting on our spirit box before the end of the night, which was crazy because the spirit box, if you understand how that works, it sweeps AM or FM radio frequencies.
Right.
When something comes through, it kind of pauses for a second and then it keeps cycling.
And they can hear all this stuff on your webpage. We want to shout him out again.
Yeah.
Rogues Hollow Paranormal.
Go check it out. Like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah.
RHP.
Get them views moving.
The Native American stuff isn't on there yet, but I do have it and can load it up, so it's available.
Right
I
on.
bet that stuff's savage.
And you and I,
It was like a group of them, and they're like, yeah, kind of doing like a
Right.
chant like that.
Right.
And we're all looking at each other like, are we really hearing this? Because this can't be on the radio.
Wow.
Like, there's no way it would be on the radio, so it couldn't be random chatter.
Okay, now I gotta ask, you go out on these places and you get bupkis. Once you get there, it's all banana oil. Nothing comes out. It's bullshit. It's whatever. Do you ever F with each other?
Yeah.
There's got to be a little bit of that going on.
But I have an investigator, Pearson, I love to mess with.
Shout out the team, why don't you?
Yeah, so our team is myself, my wife, medium Missy Tolley, medium Megan, and Pearson Duvall. And they're pretty comical.
Now, do
Megan
you have
and Missy
small
are
and large too, or just medium women?
small.
Oh, okay.
They're
What
actually
you-
small.
what you
Yeah.
say?
What was that noise? Did you just hear that? No, it felt like something. Sounded like something. Fell
I don't know.
out.
I thought I saw El Chupacabra looking
All
over
right,
your
now
shoulder.
you did a blessing before you came here, right?
Sure. I did a
far as
blessing
you know.
before I came.
As far as you know, that's what he did.
I mean, I'm not trying to be funny. That's why I was asking. Did you guys didn't hear that?
I heard it.
Okay.
Well, wow.
It was probably like,
Sound like a
I think
paper or
something
something.
maybe I'm
but-
so funny that the drum set was trying to rim shot
yeah,
itself.
exactly. That's kind of.
Probably.
Wow.
So that was a question I forgot my pencil to write shit down while you're going on, so I
Forgot my
wasn't forgetting.
pencil.
I done forgot, and I was gonna get it there and break it.
Give him
I
something
forgot.
to write on, man.
Give me something to
Oh,
write on,
his
man.
question about Pearson. So what I'd like to do with Pearson is when we go on location, I'll try to encourage the spirits to do something to mess with him. And he freaks out, dude. It's the funniest thing.
yeah.
And the best is to get him to say his name.
Right.
So when they say his name, you'll literally watch his reaction is priceless.
So
because-
it has said his name.
Oh yeah, multiple times. There's videos up
we
there you
doggy.
can watch. Yeah, it's funny when it happens. But I do things like that to mess with them.
Like you could probably charge a fee for doing that to get have people come along and have a spirit say their name and record it.
Well, I've got a good video I can show you guys because we have a haunted gallery that we open up to the public and people come and take tours in the fall, like usually in October. And there's one item in there. It's this clown stuffed animal, and we've had just activity after activity off this thing. And one night, Pearson decides he wants to check it out at our store. So we set it up, and my wife and myself, we're in the kitchen. He's in there investigating. Nothing's coming through. It starts going nuts, setting off every single piece of equipment you can imagine with just Pearson in there, and Pearson screaming like a little girl. So we grabbed the camera as quick as we could, and we got the whole thing. Yeah, it's great. So
All in love.
Yeah, that's available out there too. I think on TikTok and Facebook.
Terms of endearment.
I had a light bulb moment when we was on break of how I remember this guy. It's funny, but it's another story.
So that, like when you're thinking and like a light bulb pops on.
It did.
Did you ever see what happens to Amish people? Like a little candle pops up over their head.
Yeah.
It's a candle?
Yeah.
Well, you got to remember.
You know,
he would have been there when H was alive because he was at that party where H was security. He brought this girl that we knew.
Out there
At that party, right?
Yeah, son.
Oh, yeah, I know
He
which
said,
part you're talking about.
Remember Howard?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Doug's brother Howard. Shout out, everybody. Love you guys.
Howard was awesome.
The family. It was a really hard eulogy, man. R.I.P., brother. R.I.P.
Well, see, I keep forgetting my questions. You guys, and I'll be like,
Right.
Wow, yeah.
and I'm like,
Hit it up.
shit, what was I gonna say? Because I got high.
How about New England? Did you ever go over to where the witches are in Salem and try and how was your experience with that? Because when I went, it was pretty
Ouija
wild.
board.
Ouija.
Yeah, hey, go ahead and ask that
Okay,
too.
yeah. So, have you ever messed with a Ouija board?
I do not mess with a Ouija board.
See, I was.
And that was
That's
my
what I
Because
was saying.
of a
And I
reason?
would, kids,
Like-
I do not recommend you playing with one. I was
Right,
just
right.
asking the question.
That was my
I would
question.
never have one of them
Why?
in my house, around me, or would I be around anybody messing with one
Okay, and
personally.
I want to go just a step further with the tarot cards, okay, and some of that stuff as well. So why is it best to not go stumbling into it blindly as a beginner, a novice, entry level, a beginner, a neophyte, whatever you want to call it? Why is it best not to mess with that stuff?
Because if you don't do it properly, there's a process.
You open doors.
You open doors or attachments that can go very bad, and I've seen more than enough people deal with paranormal activity, not in a good sense, that claimed it was due to playing with a Ouija board. And then the second mistake that people most commonly do, once they screw up and they realize that they have a problem through the
They
Ouija
don't
board,
close it out. They
well,
run,
they burn it.
or that.
They'll burn it. And by burning it, you're setting it free, so things only get worse from there. You're actually supposed to bury it at that point with the planchette on top.
You hear that?
But yeah,
Out there, we'll say it out
Don't
loud
play
for
with
y'all
it.
in
You
the
don't gotta
back.
worry.
it's a dangerous game. You have to be respectful. You know, you can't ever break a session, and you have to close it out at the end. If you don't do all of those things, you're leaving things
yourself
open.
up.
And my suggestion is just don't mess with them.
Right.
Now-
You're
now-
opening yourself up.
Most people
that.
don't know that Ouija is an old Tibetan word that means you're screwed.
Yes, no doubt.
Just know that.
Well, actually, I think the guy who created the Ouija board actually asked the Ouija board for the name, and that was what it spelled out, supposedly, and that's the original
I don't
origin.
doubt it. We messing with that stuff, boy.
You're talking about getting into some real portals and opening some real scary
Yeah.
places in your mind as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're opening yourself up to spiritual attack with that stuff.
And we kind of do that in all actuality. We kind of do that when we try to communicate with spirit, whether it's a digital recorder or it's a spirit box. And when we're done, a lot of times what you don't see on camera is once we're done with a session, we let them know that we're finished, and we kind of set ground rules that,
Yep, don't come home with me.
Exactly.
Don't attach yourself.
yeah. So it's kind of like the same thing. Now, tarot cards is a whole different creature. I don't believe in the whole tarot cards are evil kind of thing, because really, if they're being used properly, it's not spirit that's really laying out the cards. It's the person's interpretation of those cards.
That's part of it. Absolutely.
So that's a different game.
That's a whole
gotcha.
different game.
Yeah.
Divination is different altogether, I think, because being someone who identifies as a light worker, I know it is. It's very different. It's all, sorry.
Go ahead.
Intention, a lot of intention. So spiritually, what do you identify as? I'm just curious because of the demonology thing and all of that. I'd asked you off camera, was it a Catholicism-based system that you used to become a certified demonologist?
I mostly recognize as a Catholic, although the Catholic Church, because of what I do, will not let me be a member of the church any longer.
Oh.
So I've sought out other options, but that's my core belief.
Yeah, here's the thing. There's religion, which is man-made, and then there's the Word of God, which is of one origin. So religion to me never meant crap. Like if it's, the rituals of man.
Shifting because of my damn
I agree. I'm not a traditional by any sense. I'm very open-minded when it comes to it, and when it relates to the Bible, I'm very kind of the mindset that there's things that